I think we made it happen. Yay! I think we are live. Hi. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. I'm going to move this over. Boy, I was ill prepared. Whenever mommy makes a video, she just rolls right into it. But now with the live, I have to make sure everything is situated. So hopefully the sound is okay. I'm going to roll like it is because I hate when people wait, and then they could have been talking the whole time. So if you're new here, I want to take a minute and say, welcome home. I am so glad that you found me. This is Addiction and Codependency Breakthrough. And what I want to do here is to be a support system for you, those of you who are impacted by another's addiction. And there's a big gap in the world. There is so much help for addicts and alcoholics. There's a treatment center on every corner, right? There's help, but where's the help for the families? In particular, where's the help for the families of the spouses of the addict or alcoholic? There's a big gap. Now I know there's some help for you as a spouse or as a partner or somebody who loves an addict or alcoholic or living with them. But I'm talking about good help. I'm talking about strategic help that somebody can help, because what is this? Why am I doing this on a Friday night? Hi, Sierra. How are you, honey? Why am I doing this on a Friday night? Hey, Jordan. Hey. Why am I doing this on a Friday night? Because it's about to pop off. It's Friday night. And maybe you managed to go the whole week. Okay. And you're like, okay, good. We had a good week, or kind of a decent week, or maybe you had a terrible week already, but it's about to go down because the weekend is here. Right? So here's what I want to do tonight. I just want to be here with you, and I want to give you some kind of strength and hope and sanity as you go through this weekend. Hey, Thea, so that you can get through this weekend with a little more peace and sanity in your heart. Now, I know even if bad things are going to happen over this weekend, the strategies that I'm going to give you are going to help you navigate this weekend. I'm going to be ringing in your ear over the weekend. And I really want to come live with you on Friday nights in general, because I feel like we should be together. Right? We should make this our time together Friday nights. I mean, it's kind of sad that, I don't know, maybe we don't have, it's so early, it's 7:00. So maybe you're going to do something fun a little bit later, right? Thanks for all the hearts, guys. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to get in right from the rip with these strategies, because I took notes and everything. Now, I talk a lot about on my channel about how addiction impacts the family. Because I can tell you what happens. When you're in a relationship with an addict or alcoholic, tell me this is true, right? Tell me in the comments. You spend all your time and energy focusing on their issues, right? And how they're surviving, how they're getting along, are they having a good day or a bad day? What's happening with them? And what's happening with them really determines on a daily basis what happens with you. Right? It's kind of like, you wake up in the morning and like you could tell it's going to be a good day, and you're like, okay, good, I can have a good day. Or you look over and you already know it's 10 a.m., things are already off and running, and you're like, oh, well, I know how my day is going to go. It's like there's nothing else that can hijack you the way an addiction can hijack you. And because you're so captivated or enraptured or hostage with somebody else's addiction, you lose sight of just how much this is affecting you and your kids, if you happen to have kids. So first of all, I want to say, being in a relationship with an addict or an alcoholic is, are you ready? Narcissistic abuse. Now, I know some people are like, oh my God, finally somebody said that. Thank God. Okay, yeah, it's narcissistic abuse. And if you're hearing that for the first time, then you're like, that's a little weird. Why is she calling that abuse? And why is it narcissistic? There is nothing more narcissistic than addiction. They lose all empathy. They're hijacked. Nobody's home. They can't see the forest of the trees. Lies and manipulation. We all love us some Dr. Romney up in the house, right? Where she focuses on narcissistic abuse recovery, while I focus on toxic relationship recovery at the hands of addiction, whether you grew up in it or you're in the relationship now. So yeah, you have narcissistic abuse. So what does that mean for you? Likely you suffer from some type of PTSD or CPTSD from the situation you've been in. You've been in a war without weapons, feeling like you're smart, but yet you don't know how you can be so smart and feel so crazy, because addiction will do that. It'll make a smart person crazy. You'll be wondering, is it me? Am I nuts? Actually, that's one of the tips I have for you this weekend. Maybe we should just dive right into them, okay? Sierra said yes. For real, that explains so much. Yes, weekends are dreadful. I hear you. Yes. Thea says 100% focus on the addiction. Absolutely. That is where all of our attention goes. And then because we get so sucked in, one of the first things I want to tell you when you're going into the weekend. Now I had a special hat for this just occasion. Now this hashtag that we're going to start using as our team here, okay, just us birdies here, is NTP. Hashtag NTP. And what that means is you have nothing to prove, okay? Nothing to prove. Now this is probably backwards in your thing because I'm not mirroring it, but is this loud enough for you guys too? Can you hear this okay? Now that I'm thinking, it looks like the volume is super, super low. Let me see. Is that okay for you? Perfect. Okay, good. Nothing to prove. What does that mean? You're going into the weekend and you're probably thinking to yourself, should I write down what happens this weekend? Should I take notes? Should I just go around and size up the bottles and let me see like how much is this bottle at? Okay, let me make a note. Should I make sure I have enough cell phone bandwidth to record them when they act like a weirdo or a jerk later on tonight so that I can show them what they did in the morning? You know, can I play it back for them? Should I be taking notes all night long in my phone about the things they said or did because they're not going to remember, and I can confront them the next day? I can show them how much they've drank or used. I can prove to them that they're using more than they're telling me. I want to tell you right now, you have nothing to prove. So if that was true, that you had nothing to prove, how would you behave if you were spending all your time trying to get an addict or an alcoholic to see the truth? Because here's what you need to know. Trying to get an alcoholic to prove to an alcoholic, okay, how much they're using this weekend or how bad they've behaved or whatever is going on is like trying to get a cat to bark. All right. So it's not in a cat's nature to bark. You know, cats meow, they don't bark. And alcoholics lie, they don't tell the truth. And you really need to understand that. Addiction is a psychological disorder that coexists with other issues. And one of the issues it coexists with is denial. You can't have addiction, active addiction, and denial separate. They go together. So here's some questions to avoid asking an alcoholic or an addict this weekend. Are you ready? 2 magical questions. If somebody can put them in the chat. This goes along with your nothing to prove. If anybody wants to put these in the chat for everybody else, that'd be great. The first question not to ask an addict or an alcoholic this weekend is, did you use? Or another version of that is, how much did you use? Whenever you, first of all, they're not going to tell you. It's a lie. Okay. Oh, I only had 2 beers. Like, you're opening up Pandora's box for them to start. Let me just get my magic 8 ball. Just tell you it's not gonna go down the way you think it's gonna go down. Okay. That says Outlook faux show effed up. Okay. No, when you ask an addict and alcoholic, how much did you use or did you use, you might as, it's why? Why? You have nothing to prove. You already know that they are using. Okay, so we're just going to take that question out. That question to them takes you down a rabbit hole of discussion about how they can live in their denial. Yeah, well, Thea says she doesn't need to ask, drunk is drunk. Okay, so the next question never to ask an addict or an alcoholic over the weekend is, yes, thank you, Sarah. Don't ask them if they did or how much. It's irrelevant. They did a lot, and it's more than they're telling you. Well, done. Okay. The second question, never to ask somebody, especially if they're trying to be in recovery. And trying to be in recovery is not being in recovery. Okay. You know, don't get sucked in to this mentality of when you're with an addict and alcoholic is good days and bad days. Who has done that? Who has gotten sucked into this conversation of, well, today was a good day. Tuesday, they only had a little bit of this. And Wednesday, I didn't see them use that much. And, you know, and you're like taking it day by day. That's not how addiction works. Okay. I really want you to understand that day by day isn't a real thing. Recovery is recovery. Yes, Mariah. Hi, Mariah. My girl's here. Oh my God. I'm sending you such a big hug. I love you so much, and I'm so happy for you. Oh my God. I'm just dying over your great news. Dying. Okay. Mariah. And I won't say anything. I'm just not going to say anything, but Mariah is so beautiful. Okay. So That just, I'm so happy to see you. So I want you to know that when you ask them how much, right? Or so when somebody is going day to day, you get sucked into that. Well, today I didn't have as much as I did yesterday, or you start to buy into the lie that whatever that they're doing better or doing worse. Addiction is addiction. Whether I'm a periodic alcoholic, an episodic alcoholic, an everyday person, there's a spectrum of substance use disorder, and this how much is irrelevant on the spectrum. It's like telling an abused person I only smacked you once today instead of 5 times like I did Tuesday. All right, it's irrelevant to me how much and how often. I know I'm getting smacked. I know I'm getting hurt, and so do you need to know that. You're getting hurt because you're in a relationship that has narcissistic abuse, because that's what addiction abuse is. It's narcissistic abuse. The second question you ever ask somebody, especially if they're trying to pretend like they're in recovery or they're doing really well, is let's say it's Friday night, they did fine, they did okay. Saturday, they went off the rails. They went bananas and pajamas, crazy town. And you wake up on a Sunday morning and you look over and you know the bottles were there and you know the thing went down, and you wake up in the morning and you look over at them and you go, what happened? What happened? When you would ask an addict or an alcoholic, what happened? Like, why'd you use, right? Why'd you drink? And in your defense, you do that because, and you might not do that, but most of us do that because we think there's got to be some reason that they used, right? Something to traumatize them. It was the anniversary of their cousin Billy's death. They drank because so and so, fired them or whatever happened, and there was a trigger, right? Or you're looking for the trigger or the trauma. You're always looking for the trigger or the trauma to explain somebody's use. And I want to tell you, the reality of the situation is people aren't actively drinking because of a trigger or a trauma. They're drinking because their coping mechanisms to trauma and triggers is alcohol. Let me say it again, okay? People are not drinking because of triggers and trauma. People are drinking because the cure to them for their triggers and trauma that we all have is alcohol or drugs, period. So whenever we take away the alcohol or drugs, the triggers and traumas are still there. So when they wake up and you say, what happened, honey? What happened? I'm not honey, probably like, what happened, fucker? Or like, right here, you're mad. What happened, And they're like a kid in a candy store, because now they know they get to give you the holy reason. And when they give you the trauma or the trigger reason, what's going to happen to your little heart is you're going to be very sad for them and buy into it. And all of a sudden, pressure's off of them. And now you're like in your help mode, because who's the heroes? Where are my heroes? Where are my fixers? Where are my cape wearers? Where are my people who run to the rescue? So as soon as you start to get into the trauma with them, like, oh, what happened? What happened? And they start to tell you, you put your therapist hat on. Maybe put it this way. Okay, you're about to go in there. Okay. And then you're like, ooh, let's dissect this. Let's get in there and see what we can find out, right? Instead of just being like, no. You use drugs and you drank because you're an untreated addict or alcoholic. You have substance use disorder. And whenever you're in recovery, you're going to have to learn how to deal with those traumas and triggers, although that's not my job to talk about that. Okay. So when you're a fixer, a hero is a very nice way of saying codependent. Codependent, meaning you get just as hooked in and addicted to their nonsense as they're addicted to their nonsense. Right? You're addicted to them and they're addicted to that. So what's the first tip I gave you? Somebody remind mama, because mama's on her roll. The first tip was #NTP. Nothing to prove. Interesting, says Jordan. I asked Zach or told him I want a sober home, so he waited till me and the kids went to bed and had a Jack and Coke. Yeah, I saw it. Did I say anything? No, not worth it. Just looking for the next step. Oh, yeah. From talking to me, you really opened my eyes up. Yes, Jordan. Yes. Because look, I already know it's there. So the next question I'm going to ask myself isn't going to be, I'm not going to look at an addict and alcoholic and go, how much did you drink? I know you drank. Take the breathalyzer. It's, you're busted. I'm going to look at myself and go, what do I want? What do I want? What kind of marriage do I want? What kind of relationship do I want? And then the next question is, what is required of me to make that happen for myself? What is required of me? So remember that addiction speaks in the language of lies and denial. seeking the truth, what happened, it's just not going to happen. The second thing you need to remember this weekend, there's only going to be a couple things. So we're not going to stay on here all night, right? The second thing, and then we're going to stay on for a couple Q&As, okay? The second thing you need to know to make it through this weekend is it's not your fault. Now, I know when I say that, if they do drink or they do mess or they do whatever, it's not your fault. I know as soon as I say that to you, you're like, oh, hell no. I know it's not my fault. Yeah, no, obviously it's not my fault. But do you really believe that? Because if it's not your fault, then why are you criticizing yourself and telling yourself you should have done something differently and trying to figure out the formula to fix this? Because if you didn't cause it, then you can't fix it, but you are trying to fix it. So if you're trying to fix it, you must believe you're in control of it or that you caused it, right? In some way, like you have some kind of say in it. So there's many ways that this lie creeps in. So when somebody says to you over the weekend, you confront them and you just go, look, you're using, I already know that's to be true. I want you to, when they start to tell you, yeah, well, because, right? Because either this happened or that happened or you happened. You know, you're on my case, or the kids are crazy, or you make it hard for me, or I was really whatever, and you did this, and you had your friends over, and they had alcohol, and what did you expect me to do, and da-da-da-da. Now you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have gone to dinner with that restaurant. Maybe I shouldn't have taken them to that boat place. Maybe I should have, and you start to fantasize. And listen, I'm going to tell you what right now. None of it is your fault. None of it is your fault. They didn't drink because you took them to that restaurant over that restaurant. Okay. They didn't drink because the kids were up and whatever. They didn't drink because you went to yoga. Okay. They didn't drink. None of that is real. They drank or they used because they are untreated, actively addicted. Period. No other reason. So what that's called is a game of hot potato. Okay. I got this little hot potato. I think it used to make a noise. I think it used to talk. Let's see. Hot potato. Did you hear that? What? Again. That's what the addict or alcoholic says. They want to give you all their blame and shame. Oh, now it's not working. Okay. So when an addict or alcoholic gives you their, hey, you caused this. Hey, you're the problem here. I want you to go, oh, this is a hot potato. Okay. I don't want, what are you going to do to a hot potato? Let me see how it is my fault. It's burning your hands. It's scalding you. And you're like, you know what? Let me find out how bad it, yeah, did I do this? Let me see. Can I taste and chew on that? See how that sounds and feels and so I can digest. No. As soon as somebody gives you a hot potato, you give it right back. You say, no. Yeah. You drank because you have untreated alcoholism and addiction. No. You're in this situation because you need to get into treatment and recovery. Okay. No. No. Hand it right back. They give it to you, hand it right back. And eventually when they put that hot potato at you, you don't even have to do anything. You just do I think you have to, again, he said, do I think that means you have to duck and like pretend it's not happening? No, what that means is you throw some butter on that thing. Hey, yeah, let's put some butter and sour cream, make it taste better. Yeah, all the things, okay? But basically what I'm saying to you is that you don't have to take on the responsibility of somebody else's addiction anymore, and nor should you, okay? They are using and they are under the influence, not for any other reason than they have untreated substance use. Now, if I can hear somebody crawling from the back room, well, they do have trauma and they do have addiction, it is, and no, I know. But what makes you think for 1 minute that somebody has access to even beginning to work on those things until they have their mind back online for at least 3 to 6 months? I can't even start to get into my stuff in treatment until I have my head screwed on straight and I can come up for air. And that's like a month, right? Like 28 days just to get my head on straight. And then maybe we can start talking about the stuff that happened. Maybe. But I know that if I get my head on straight, I'm not going to talk about my trauma the next morning after a Saturday night bender and be healed. I mean, it's you're not landing. Nobody's home. Like you're not getting anywhere with that. So let's right now, it could be true that there is trauma. It could be true. Lots of those things happen. A lot of us, including myself, I've been sober for 15 years. I understand that my binge drinking And the way that I coped with life was partly in response to the trauma. I have CPTSD, I have depressive disorder, I have anxiety disorder, I have all of these things as a result of lots of childhood abuse. And there are lots of people who are abused who don't drink. Okay. My coping mechanism that I chose was alcohol. And when I decided to get sober, I had to find other ways to cope because guess what's still there? The depression, the anxiety, and the CPTSD. You don't cure that, okay? You learn how to function in it. You learn how to manage it. So you don't want it, but when somebody would give me the reason and I would be drunk and I'd be acting like an asshole and I'd get up in the morning and I'd be like, oh, and I'd say, I was abused. I had all this trauma. I mean, I'm sorry, I just lost my mind because of my anxiety. And I have all those reasons at the ready, but that's not the reason why. Okay. So I just really want you to understand, it's not that I don't have compassion. I've been on both sides of this, growing up with an alcoholic, growing up in addiction, having 5 of my dad's brothers and sister die from addiction. Okay. I watched a couple of them got sober a minute before they passed. All right. But my dad died of addiction. My uncle died of addiction. My uncle died of addiction. My aunt died of addiction. And then I went down that path as well. And so I, not just working in the field of addiction for over a decade inside of a drug and alcohol treatment center, but just having all this wisdom experience. So please don't think that I don't understand this. I understand it perfectly. All right. So that's what we need. Yeah. They're numb. They're numb. Exactly. All right. So the third key for the weekend, what's the first key? NTP, nothing to prove. Okay. Second is it's not your fault going into the weekend. Do not, give that hot potato right back. Okay. This damn thing. I'm going to go off when I want it to. Okay. The third thing you need to try to do this weekend, don't clean it up. I know. Oh my God. What do you mean? Don't clean it up. Don't call the friends. Don't call the work. Don't smooth it over. Don't smooth it over. Don't pretend. Don't sweep it under the rug. None of it. Don't clean it up. It is what it is and let it be what it was. So when you wake up in the morning, what is the natural consequence for that person's behavior? What's the natural consequence if the kids were scared? The natural consequence is the kids are scared. The natural consequence is you've got to make this right with the kids. I'm not going to go in there and pretend and smooth it over because what happens? Dad's drunk and acting crazy with the kids. Kids get a little scared or a little upset. In the morning, I go in there to make it right, to fix it. Okay. And I say to the kids, Dad was really kind of like just not in his right mind last night. And, you're okay. You're fine. It really wasn't that bad. You do all that shit. And here's what your kids are thinking. Your kids are like, now you're lying to me too. He's hurting me. And now you're the cover up. What are you, like the getaway car? What are you doing here, Bonnie? Clyde just robbed me and you're getting into a driveway, getaway car. That's what the kids are thinking. Okay. So for you, you need to look at them and say, I know that's hurtful and don't cover it up. Tell me about how you were feeling last night. Tell me. And most kids, when they're dealing with addiction, by the way, are going to wake up and be like, I'm fine, and not want to talk about it because they have so many problems in your family. They don't want to be a problem. Maybe you grew up in addiction and you know this move. We've got so many problems in our house that I can't be a problem because we have too many already. So I'm going to pretend I'm fine. I'm just going to ignore it. I'm just going to go to my room and pretend like nothing. That's happened quite a bit, right? You can recognize that. So don't clean up that mess. Let it be what it is, because what you need to be for your kids is available and authentic. Okay. You don't want to gaslight your own children out of what they saw, out of what they're experiencing. You want to be the person, which leads me to the fourth key. Okay. The first key is, remember, NTP. You have nothing to prove. You're not going to ask how much have they drank. You're not going to track it down. You're just going to know that they're drinking, they're drunk, they're using. You're not going to ask them why. Why is because they have this psychological disorder. Okay. You're I don't even, sometimes when I come to these things, I write notes, but then I don't remember what I say. So I want to go back over my points. And I'm like, what did I say? I just trust. I get in the moment and I just try to tell you something that's going to be good for you to hear. Okay. 2, it's not your fault. 3, don't clean it up. Number 4, it's your responsibility to be the healthy one. There are many times in your life where you are sick and tired of always having to be the one. Is that true or not? In your life, you have been the responsible one. You are the one that pulls it all together. Everybody around you is falling apart all the time. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's all up to you all the time. Can I get an amen? I just said amen. Okay. So when I say it's your responsibility, you automatically could be a little bit upset by saying, well, Heidi, I don't think so. I think that I have the right to have it be my turn. Okay. And somebody else can do their work because they're the problem, Heidi. I'm not the problem here. They're the problem. It's not my responsibility. They need to get sober. They need to, but honey, I'm going to tell you right now, they're sick and they're sleeping, and somebody's got to stay awake. They're sick and sleeping, and you have to stay awake. And what's responsible? It's not the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's not fixing everything. It's response able. Responsible means response able. It means that when you're in the moment, you don't lose your head. Whenever they're flying about or acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or doing whatever, that you can maintain your center and your boundaries and look at that person and do what you need to do to keep you and your whole family safe. That you're not all spinning out because they're spinning out. That you're response able. You keep your wits about you. You know your power. You know you have courage. You know what needs to be done, and you maintain that level of authority and agency over yourself no matter how bad they try to fucking take you out. Okay? All right? And how do you do that is you keep coming back. You get, because I know I am a lot. And thank God I am, because, it turned out to be pretty useful. Like my whole life, I remember being told, you're too much, you're too strong, you need to, it's too much, you're too strong, you're too passionate, and I'm like, man, there's got to be something good to be able to do with this. I mean, why did God make me have this spirit of like warriorness? Like I'm attracted to swords and walking sticks. Like why am I so attracted to warrior things? If it's not a useful thing to have, why would God make me this way? And I realized that part of it is in my nurturing that I had to fight, but not many of us have that luxury. We become, fleers instead of fighters. We become, hiders. We, fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn, right? But I'm a fighter, and I think I always was, and I think that's part of the reason I got beat so much is because I resisted, I opposed, right? So, but now I know, coming full circle in my life and trusting that I am okay to be myself. I'm allowed to be who I am. I'm allowed to be all that I am. Now I know what fight I'm in. And now I know who I help battle. Okay, now I know. I know why I have so much strength. I know why I have so much courage. I know why I have so much fight, so much warrior, because you need to borrow some of mine until you find yours. And yours is in there too. Yours is in there too. Okay. So what are you going to do to take care of yourself this weekend? That's the last thing. How are you going to take beautiful care of yourself? Let me look at these comments. Fixer here. Yes, that's why it's so hard to leave when you know it's best for me. I'm addicted to him. Yes, in the chaos. What kind of relationship do I want? What's required to get there? Sarah, yes, girl, it's not your fault. Thank you. Because that's how we survived the dysfunction. Absolutely. Throw some butter on it. Yes. They are numb. Hey, Heidi, I finally did the thing. I filed for divorce, Jackie. I channeled the hot potato when I broke the news and I was able to stand my ground. I didn't do it perfectly, but I didn't cave. Jackie. May now you have the peace in your heart to do everything you need to do to restore the family, whatever that looks like down the road. Love you, Jackie. That's amazing. Amen, amen, amen. Never too much. Own it, girl. By taking care of myself, I try to let his words and actions bounce off me, but it's hard to ignore. The last thing I want to say is sometimes when you go to Al-Anon and places like that, they teach you really good, skills about how to ignore it or how to stay in your lane or how not to worry. There's two paths you can take, okay? One path is absolutely, you can learn how to get in the ring. You can learn how not to get hurt. You can learn how to put your boundaries up. I definitely teach that all day long for people who are staying in these difficult relationships. You can, because, and you can get really good at being resilient, right? We can all agree you can become so amazing at being resilient. And you're like, man, I can get back up. I can get back up. I can keep taking it. But at some point in our lives, we had to say, I just need to leave the ring. It's not about how many times you get knocked down and get back up. It's how you prevent getting knocked down sometimes, right? So sometimes, hey, Jane. Hey, Jane, keep up the good work. Thank you, love. I think that, whether you're going to stay in this relationship or you need the courage, to try to figure out if you should stay or go, or if you know you need to go and you want that strength to do that. Either way, if you want to go deeper, I have about 3 sessions, I think, open for next week that are the 90-minute strategic sessions. You can get those over at HeidiRain.com. And or you can check out the family program over there that has hours and hours and hours of content about addiction, understanding addiction, navigating it, and coaching content. So hours and hours. I mean, should I stay? Should I go? Live calls, taped. I mean, everything you need to know. So lots of ways to get support. Of course, I'll be here. Of course, there are 2 videos coming out tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. I just feel like you guys need these on the weekends. I know you need them on the week too, but you're busy trying to live your life and take care of things. And I know that the weekends are when you can come up for air and do this kind of research. So I feel so weak. I get sucked into the ring, even when I tell myself I want. It's not your fault, Nicole. I mean, these people are masterful, okay? Masterful manipulators. So many of us who say never again find ourselves right back there again. And there's a reason we keep getting sucked back in. And now that's part of that deeper work, is to figure out, why do I keep getting sucked back in? I know better on paper. It's not making sense. The math's not mathing. What is going on here? It's usually a much deeper thing, much deeper connection, much deeper pull. And we work hard to figure that out. So that's not life, to be knocked down all the time. Yeah, amen for that. It's not life to get knocked down all the time. A person who grows up in addiction or is exposed to addiction, there's one question that you can ask yourself that'll change your life. The question you're used to asking yourself is, how bad can this get? Right? You know what I mean? How much more can I take? Right? How much more can I take? How much can I handle? How bad can this get? And when the real question for us in recovery is, actually, how good can I let it get? How much am I willing to receive? How much love? How much friendship? How much compassion? How much of my own? Receive it of my own. So how good can I let it get is a healing question. How bad can I let it get is a survivor's question. And life isn't always just about surviving. We deserve more than that. Amen? Oh my God. Amen. I could go on and on. I love you. I think this is good for tonight. Leave all your comments. I'll be checking in throughout the weekend. 2 more videos are coming this weekend. Hopefully we can do this on a Friday night. If you think this is a good time, I'd be happy to be with you. It's just such a pleasure for me to come in and pour into you before the weekend. All right. I love you. Take really good, excellent care of yourself this weekend. Apply these keys to the weekend moving through, and just do me a favor. Come back on Monday and tell me what you did and tell me how it went. Okay? Right here in the comments. All right. I love you. Have a beautiful night. Okay? Love you guys so much. Love you. Love you. Thank you guys. Oh, all right. See you soon.